could only mean one thing. It's time for Super League Raw Weekly. On tonight's show, Arthur's Army are top of Super League as we go into the Challenge Cup break. We will be reviewing their season thus far. The team of the week for round number 10 will be announced. Banging or hanging, we'll go through all the news, gossip and transfers as always. Joel will be doing a Giants hokey cokey for our pleasure. What will Oliver be saying this week? We'll be finding out from the little man, and we will be doing a full preview to this weekend's semi-finals in the Betfred Challenge Cup. It's time for Super League Raw Weekly. You can't beat a bit of weekly. Let's roll the titles. This programme is proudly sponsored by BYD, the #1 electric vehicle in the world and the fastest growing brand in the UK car market. BYD in Super League Raw, building our dreams together. And the home of Super League Raw, the Bluebell in Warrington. Make this your pre- and post-game destination for the best food and drink in town. So good evening and welcome to Super League Raw Weekly this Tuesday evening, round 10, been and gone, Challenge Cup semi-finals. We'll be getting into those in great detail. No captain's run, of course, this week, but we have got a little bit of a special maybe plan for you. Tonight, it has been announced who the top 5 are in this year's Man of Steel after 9 rounds. There's a lot of fallout from that. I've managed to watch the best part of it, but Steph needs to catch up, as does Joel. But we might have a little bit of a giggle off for half an hour on Thursday just to fill in your Thursday night. But the top 5, if you missed it, at 5 is Darryl Clark, at 4 is Brodie Croft, at 3 is Tyrone May, 2 is Jez Litton, and 1 is Lockie Miller. However, that was fabricated a little bit, but we won't spoil that just yet. If you were watching, you know what I mean. But we'll get into that on Thursday. Good evening to my old muckers, Joel and Steph. How are you, boys?
All good, mate.
Good evening.
Fantastic. And I think it's Craig Forth's birthday. Craig, sir, happy birthday. All the very best to you, my friend. Craig Forth, of course, the host of the Final Hooter podcast. Have a great evening with us, mate. Outstanding stuff. Good evening to Mr. Forth, who's with us. Rebecca Frey's there, of course. Nige Bennett, as always. Veldstag's with us. Nige Wood. Dawn Baker's with us. Gary Bow, which, of course, is Gary. It's Gary, that, isn't it? That's Gary. And who else we got? Anybody else I can do a quick shout out to? That's about it at the moment in the chat, but there's more, I'm sure, to come. Get your comments in the chat. If you're watching on YouTube, swipe left on the comments. Make sure you hype the show. Super Chats is open as always. We've got plenty to get through, but before we do, boys, We posted a very special video on our social media feeds this week, and thank you to everybody who has been a part of the action for Alfie. Joel, those pictures of young Alfie at Bayern Munich meeting his heroes, Diaz and Harry Kane, it made it all worthwhile, mate.
It did, and Alfie's got the most infectious smile. So if being a part of that for Alfie has been worth it, that certainly was. And Alfie's such a special little boy, and we love the family to bits at Super League Raw, and we just hope that they're enjoying every little bit of time they've got doing different things, and it's just wonderful, and it's so nice to see him enjoying himself.
Yes, we did a good thing there, Steph.
We did, and I bumped into him and Kieran before the last League home game, and he was telling me how excited he was to go to that, and it looked like he had such a special day. So, it was brilliant to see, and first of many more to come as well, hopefully.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. What a weekend of rugby league we've just had gone. Some really, really good tries in there. Jaden Myers take a bow. His couple against Leeds, very nice. Sexton's against you, Lee Cattler. I thought that was a very, very nice try as well. Joel, any tries catch your eye this week?
I'm going to be honest, I actually didn't watch a lot of rugby this week. I've been a bit busy with my family, looking after my mum and dad, so I do apologise for that.
Fair enough, mate.
But I didn't watch much.
Oh well, at least you saw the worst attempt at a try in living history. We'll get to that a bit later, mate.
Sure we will.
Steph, from your perspective, any that really stuck out for you, mate?
I just really like the Leeds attack at the moment and what they're doing. And Sivo's tried the one where actually Hanley just tipped it onto. I thought was thinking. I think there's been lots of those this year from Ash Hanley. I don't think he's getting the credit he deserves for what service he's providing to Sivo. But yeah, they're just looking at a force at the moment, the Rhinos.
Yeah, interesting. Also interesting that the 10-man shortlist did not include any loose forwards, second rows, or props. Interesting. But there you go. I think Hamlin Yelly, very unlucky not to be. He was discussed briefly, but very unlucky, I would say. I think he's been exceptional, as too is Cooper Jenkins. We mustn't forget Cooper Jenkins at the Rhinos as well. We've not really got it on the agenda, but I'm just going to throw it out there straight away because Sivo's challenge. Red or yellow for you, Joel? Or no card?
That was from the weekend. I don't know. I didn't see it.
Anyway, it's lovely that you're here, Joel. Steph, red or yellow for Sivo?
Yeah, I think for me, it was a borderline red, and I think that's been, being a grade C in the match review panel. That normally indicates that it should have been a red card, or the match review panel certainly saw it that way. It wasn't the worst I've ever seen, but it didn't look good, and there was some slight mitigation in it. But I'd like the referee to explain that, and I think that's the frustration I have when they say there's mitigation and they don't explain what that is. But borderline red.
Yeah, Ethan Havard's lost his appeal by all accounts against his ban. There you go, which is interesting. But yeah, without Hanley, Sivo is limited. The pairing is genius, says Cal Moore. Couldn't agree with you more. Something that you did see, Joel. 9 levels. You've got to be filthy over that. He's not wearing the appropriate gum shield, so therefore he couldn't go back on having gone off for an HIA that he probably would have passed. You've got to be filthy as a Huddersfield Giants fan over that.
Yeah, and I believe, I'm not sure how true it is, but apparently there's I'd heard that evening there's a thing about why some players don't want to wear them because they're very uncomfortable and they can feel quite sick with them. I don't know why that is the case. I don't know what the difference is in size or anything. I've actually not seen one, if I'm honest. I don't know if you guys ever have, but apparently there's a bit of a thing where they're not wanting to wear them because for some people they're quite uncomfortable. If you've got a big gob, it's not so bad, but
well, I'll be
but yeah,
we can wear them on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's a real shame because this isn't the first time it's happened. I know last week I think there was 2 occasions of this. Where players are allowed to play a game even though they're okay to do so. It's a shame, but they need to sort it out because in concept it's a good idea to have the gum shields that do that. But if the players are refusing to wear them, then they need to sort it out.
Indeed, right. We've got a big packed show. Of course, tonight we're going to be looking at the semi-finals for the Challenge Cup because, of course, there is no captain's run. So we're going to do that as part of Weekly for you tonight. But before we do, let's, as we've got a little bit of a break, let's discuss this one, which, of course, Arthur's Army is on top. And, of course, last week we did a piece on Wigan and Castleford. This week, it's the turn of the Leeds Rhinos. They finish round 10 top of Super League as we go to the semi-final break. Before we get into some analytics and me posing some questions at you gentlemen, Steph, you've already mentioned there a moment ago that you're loving Leeds' attack. Joe, what are you liking about the Rhinos currently out 10 rounds in?
Well, I'm actually not surprised. Before, I remember me and you, Dave, having quite a lengthy conversation about I was struggling to pick my top three, and Leeds were as my top pick right up until the kickoff of Super League. So I'm not surprised that they're doing as well as they are. And some, I think I did actually get talked out of having them at top a little bit because a lot of people were saying to me, "Oh, Leeds won't be top. They won't be top," and lo and behold, they are. But why? Then again, what do I know? But the brand of rugby that they're playing just fits the rules that we have just nicely. Lockie Miller running out from fullback is just wonderful. I think having the combination of Jared O'Connor and Danny Levi at 9, I think is outstanding because the polar opposite 9s, and I guess that's what you want and need that we've got in the game. You don't want to have someone that's predictable, do you? And then they've not got the biggest forwards, but they've certainly got a mobile pack, and I think that also lends a hand because you can play longer minutes. And I think they've just got the balance or the equilibrium of the squad just perfectly, if I'm honest. And injuries, though everyone's having them, they're not ravaged with injury, and there's something to be said to that.
That's got to be factored in, hasn't it? I mean, of all the sides at the moment, Leeds seemingly have had the easier run in terms of injuries.
Yeah, absolutely, and that has been for the past 3 years the biggest catalyst why some squads have just not performed because they've just not had the players out there. But clearly, whoever the strength and conditioning coaches are there at Leeds and the doctors and physios, they've just got it right, haven't they? From backroom all the way to the front office.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I think we've just got to bear that around injuries in mind a little bit. But look, there's no taking away from it. Here we go. I mean, this is the facts of the matter. Leeds Rhinos 2025 versus 2026. They were 4th after 10 rounds last year with 12 points. So they're up 4 points year on year. When you look in that, but when you look at who they played last year, you look at the fixtures that they had in there is a game against Castleford, which they won 38-24, and 2 games against Salford. And of course, we know what Salford were going through last year in that opening 10 games. Conversely, you look at this year, and yes, you could argue, yes, the Bulls are in there and York Knights are in there, but I think we'd all agree that those 2 teams are more competitive than Salford were the prior year. And of course, they played Castleford in both, and actually they performed better against Castleford at home last year than they did at home this year. But that's the way that they're looking at this moment in time. And like I say, to be 4 points better off, Steph, having played the likes of Hull KR, having lost the opening game of the season at Lee, which of course was a bad start for them, they will be over the moon, certainly with the wins against KR and Warrington. I think those were the 2 standouts for me, and a very, very good win this weekend against Wakefield. Yeah,
definitely. They've been superb. And I think we're just seeing Arthur's consistency coming into it now with a full pre-season under his belt, and the players are really stepping up. And it's no coincidence that when you're playing well, your injuries are less as well. That's pretty factual. Stats will tell you that definitely. But I just think the combination of Croft and Connor, and I think Croft's got up another level. He's showing the Man of Steel form when he was at Salford. I think he looks that good at the minute. Ash Hanley's been inspirational, but then you've got the likes of Cooper Jenkins and Palacia as well, who's been leading from the front for them. And I do agree with Joe. I think Danny Levi's given him an extra element in that hooking position, and that's really helped the backs to do what they do because they're getting quick play the balls. It's really fitted nicely with that. The new ruck speed for Leeds. So lot to like from them. It's now going into the next third of the season, consistency, backing up what they've done in that first third. But I've no doubts they're going to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. They've really, really impressed me this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on there. Poll in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. The poll is up and running. Can Leeds Rhinos go all the way in 2026? That poll is live. If you're watching on YouTube, in the comments now, make sure you put your vote in there straight away. Joe, like I say, from a Rhinos perspective, very, very strong indeed. Let's move to the next slide, because I think this one is also very interesting. This is comparing and contrasting the last 4 seasons. Of course, in 2023, it was Rowan Smith who was in charge. And at that point, they'd scored 188 points, conceded 187, so a plus of 1. They had 10 league points and they were in 7th. In 2024, it was still Rowan Smith. Of course, Brad Arthur came later in the season. They'd improved their attack to 204. The defence had got slightly better at 172. They got 12 points, but they were still in 7th. Then we have the Brad Arthur effect. At 10 rounds in last year, they'd scored slightly less than 2024, with 195 points scored. But their defence, as we were commenting all of last year, improved dramatically. They only conceded 111 points in 2025 after 10 rounds. They were, again, still only on 12 points, so exactly the same as the prior year, but they were sitting 4th. You then fast forward to now, look at that attack. 348 points scored. Absolutely phenomenal. The highest they've had in that period. Their defence has got slightly worse than last year, but it's still the best defence in the league. 156 points conceded. They have 16 points and the first. And Joe, this shows for me the pathway that they're on. With every season for the last 4 years, they've been getting progressively stronger. And at the moment, that's the tail of the tape. It's very impressive, isn't it?
Very much so. And you look at the 2026 stats there. So yeah, the points for have exploded. That's exponentially better than what it was in 25. And when you look at the against, even though the defence is slightly worse, let's call it, that is bound to happen when you're scoring more tries, because you're playing more expensive. You're going to be playing riskier plays. And unfortunately, you are going to leak a few points, and that's fine. But the fact that they still are the best defensive squad in the league shows just where they're at as a squad. And it's the kind of trajectory you want for a club that over the past 10, 15, 20 years have always been up near the top. So I think having Brad Arthur there clearly has had a massive, massive impact. He knows how to use the players in the best way that he can, and also clearly who he wants to bring in. I think that has a lot to be said for itself. And I think clubs like us, we need to take a leaf out of their book for sure, because stats do not lie, and defence does win games, and they're just fantastic. I think like the game that when we played them, you look at the scoreline and think we were absolutely atrocious. We weren't that bad. They were just that good. They were far, far better in every department, and they have been against most clubs this season.
Good evening to Greg Roach. He's in the chat. Always a pleasure. Also saying that the reserves team at the Rhinos is absolutely flying in the reserves. It is. Don't forget the poll. If you're watching on YouTube, do get involved in that poll. Can Leeds Rhinos go all the way? We'll leave that open until we finish this debate, and we'll announce the finished poll at the end of this debate. Currently, 52% are saying yes, the Leeds Rhinos can go all the way in 2026. I mean, Joel's just said there about defence wins games. That, of course, was on show at the MKM this weekend, where, Hull FC, the amount of playing the balls they had in Toulouse's hard, but they couldn't breach it, and defence won that game. So defence is critically important, but when you're scoring that level of points, I mean, that's a glide path of well over 900 points in the 2026 season, Steph, and that is some going. If they can maintain, which is unlikely because it's so good, but if they can maintain that level of attack, then the likelihood is they're not going to concede enough points to lose many games.
Well, yeah, that's exactly that. And I think the only reason that the points against is so high is obviously with the new rules as well. Well, not new rules, but new interpretation of the rules. The speeding up of the rope, the 6 against has put that defensive stress on every team. So I'm not surprised it's gone slightly up from last year. But that 4 scoring is just it's phenomenal, isn't it? And that's it's no coincidence they're top of the league. I think the league position's wrong, by the way, for 23-24. I think they finished 8th in both those seasons.
No. That's after 10 games.
Oh, right, okay.
We're comparing and contrasting 10 games.
10 games, sorry.
Over the course of that season.
Yeah,
that's where, so it's a like for like, 10 games in.
It's where they were. Yeah. Got it, yeah. But you're right, it does show the improvements they've made under Brad Arthur. And everything on those stats, to me, points to a team that is more than capable of going to the grand final this year.
Well, again, just to really hammer home how well Leeds are playing, we now go to some key KPIs, and this is I mean, we've already said best attack, top try scorers, which that's wrong, but they are the top try scorers. It's not 188, I think it's 88. Top try scorer in Maker Sevo 17. Best defence, they're averaging 15.6 points against. Now, of course, Warrington and Hull KR currently, in terms of a whole total, have slightly less. But, of course, you've got to factor in they played a game less. So, actually, if you pro-rata it on the current glide path of Warrington and KR's defence, that, you know, Leeds would be still the best defence. So 15.6 conceded per game. Tackle efficiency, 92%, which is superb. The top tackle buster in the division in Lockley Miller, 75 from him. Maker Sevo has had 18 clean breaks, and the top tackle busters in the league at 396, and the top clean breakers. And that, again, I think just highlights, one, how dogged they have been in defence, but also when you're seeing, you know, key KPIs, I mean, the highest meter makers as well. When you see key KPIs like that, that's why they're scoring so many points. They're causing defences a lot of problems, lads.
The biggest thing I think takes out of this is that Lockie Miller's got the top tackle buster. That clearly shows and proves what we've all said. He is, you know, currently probably the best in his position at what he does. And he's got it by a streak, and you know, to have Maker Sevo playing as well as he's playing, you know, he's not the age he was when he was in his top form, but he doesn't look like he's that far off it either. And to say that he's been out for so long with injury, he's come back with vengeance, and he's done everything that Leeds faithful were expecting of him.
Absolutely. I mean, look, and what we haven't spoke about here, Steph, is how many of their players are in form. I mean, Miller, incredible at fullback, you know, has been for many years. I think the only real player that anybody probably has a few questions over after this weekend just got his perhaps Ryan Hall on the right wing the way that Myers did him. But the rest of that back line, he's just clicking. The half-backs, clicking. No dramas there. The forward pack, you know, the likes of Cooper Jenkins, Tom Allwood. But the other one that's really come to the fore, and I think they're going to miss him drastically next year, is Cameron Smith. Callum Watkins is having a wow. The Levi O'Connor foil is absolutely beautiful. It really is, at the moment, a well-oiled engine, isn't it? And it's going to take a good team to beat them or injuries to bite, because at the moment they really do look in the groove.
Yeah, and I think you can throw Bird into the mix there, you know, obviously displacing Newman. So I think we pretty much named the full starting 13 there, near enough. They're all in great form, and it's no coincidence where they are because of that, you know. And I think Croft coming into the form he's come into, you know, we're seeing the very best version of him. And because of that, that's, you know, it's spooking defences, which is then giving you, like, some Ash Hanley that little bit of room. And he's been, like I said earlier, absolutely phenomenal for me, Ash Hanley. I think he's been outstanding. But we could literally go through the 1 to 13, and I think you're right. The only one where you could even, and I don't think he's played badly by any means, Ryan Hall, but he's the only one where you think they've got a bit of a weakness there, as highlighted by Myers defensively. But he still does a job for them very well. So I think the only thing that other clubs can hope for at the moment, I think, is if the injuries do bite. And but there's no doubt they're phenomenal at the minute. Superb side.
It's great to see the ladies. Tackle Talk chat is now in the chat on YouTube, but there you go. It's not like they don't talk to each other all day, every day. Of course, both Hooter and the Tackle Talk podcast are available for you to listen to throughout the week, as will this one, of course, be from tomorrow morning as well. Great entertainment throughout the week here at Super League Raw. Right, okay. Let's bring this conversation to a close in terms of their next 5 league games. This is they go away to the Wigan Warriors, then it's a home game against the Giants, then it's the Saints, then a tricky trip to Toulouse, and then Warrington away, gentlemen. That is a very, very tricky 5 games. There's no question whatsoever about that. Once we're at round 15, if, and it's a big if, KR are coming strong, Warrington are playing well, Saints are playing certainly well. If they are still top of the table come round 15, I think Brad Arthur will be very, very pleased when you consider, like I say, Joel, no disrespect, but the way Huddersfield played at the weekend, they'll probably look at that and think, providing that they don't go on holiday too early, they should be okay on that one. But to go away to Wigan, to have Saints at home in the form they are, to lose is a tricky one away, and then Warrington away. Like I say, if they're still top of the table come round 15, I think Brad Arthur will be very happy, won't he?
I think he'll be happy, even if he only won half of them. Well, there's only 5, so you can't win half, but you get the point. They've got some almost like games in the bag. Not that they're going to have that mindset, and they shouldn't do. But all they've got to do is beat Wigan, and confidence remains sky high. And then they've pretty much got in the bag against us, and then it's like a tune-up game for Saints, then, isn't it? So I think, do you know what, the real tough one, the acid test, will be the Warrington game, because Warrington have been sublime, absolutely fantastic this year, and I think that would be a tussle of the season possibly, because in my opinion, the top 2 clubs that I'm enjoying watching are Warrington and Leeds, closely followed by Saints and Hull KR. So this is going to be a cracking round of 5 games for them, and there's every chance that they could come away with the spoils against every one of them clubs. And I think you're muted, Dave.
Yeah, I'm just looking now to just see when those games land, because obviously there is the spectre of the Challenge Cup final that is on the horizon as well. So I'm just looking now. Actually, no, it's fallen well. So Leeds will play Saints the week after the Challenge Cup final. So that's good news. I was wondering if Saints get past Wigan, where does that actually sit? But Saints could be Challenge Cup winners by the time that game comes along, or not, as the case may be. So that'll be interesting. Steph, your take on this road ahead for Leeds?
Well, yeah, I think that's an interesting one, with Leeds getting a week off as well. They're probably one team that doesn't need a week off at the minute, but they'll come back even stronger. But I think the interesting thing is, if they win the Wigan, Saints and Warrington games, you'd like to think they'll have enough too much for Toulouse and unfortunately for Huddersfield as well. But if they can knock those other 3 off, that'll be every team that's in the top 6 they'll have beaten already this season. So that's a big benchmark for them, and I'm sure Brad Arthur's already identified that in the next 5 games. It's a big tick in the box, that, isn't it, to beat all your main competitors in the first half of the season.
Oh yeah, just ask Trin. Oh, didn't I just say that? Only joking. Trinity fans don't get pressures, but yeah, I mean, it would be a massive. And look, before any new Trinity fans, we actually respect what Trinity are doing. Really, really good. But you've got to be able to have a bit of banter. That's what the game's all about, folks. You know what I'm saying? Happy days. But yeah, that is a really, really tough run of fixtures, no question whatsoever. The poll concluded 53% of those who could be bothered to vote think that Leeds can go all the way. We'll do more polls throughout the show and give you the results of those. But a lot of people to and froing in terms of Leeds in the chat. But yeah, they're doing very, very well at the moment, and I'm sure the Leeds fans will be saying, long may that continue. Right, let's get into this. Banging or hanging? Yeah, time for a little bit of banging or hanging. A few quick fire news stories. Boys, we cannot dilly-dally when it comes to hanging or banging. So please be succinct, to the point, and let me know if it's banging or hanging, if you don't mind. Starting with you, Mr. Sale. Joe Shorrock signs a 3-year extension at the Saints, and Alex Walmsley gets a year extension as well. Banging or hanging, sir?
Yeah, banging for both. Both been really good. Shorrock's really impressed with the way he's played for Saints. I think he's fitted in really well. No coincidence under Paul Rowley again. So yeah, banging for Saints.
Happy days. Wonderful. Thank you for the speed there, sir. Joel, Daniel Holsworth, rumoured to be favourite to take over at your beloved Giants. Would you class that as a banging or hanging appointment?
After a good long hard think, I think it's banging. I think it's the Willie Peters effect, Tony Smith, and the rest of them that have done so well.
Nice that you're putting pressure on him before he's even got into the dugout. Superb stuff, mate. Superb. Well done, you. Right, Steph, one that's close to your heart. The IMG gradings were updated between shows. Performance is getting 6 points now and only a 2-season window as opposed to a 3. Finances are getting 5 points. Catchment has gone. Banging a hanging the IMG changes.
Oh, no, definitely banging. It's fine tuning, which is what IMG should be now going forward. And it's good to see that they're making improvements in areas that need, more points in areas I think that need the most improvement. Catchment you can't do anything about, so it's ridiculous to have that in it anyway for me. But yeah, great to see they're making improvements. Banging.
Drop Dead Holiday's back. Good to see you. Or is that a Dead Drop Holiday as well? Big Al rolling back the years. We're big fans of Big Alex Wormsley here at Super League Raw. He continues to do the hard stuff down the middle. Joe, staying on IMG, something that's going to affect the Huddersfield Giants. There's community down a point from 2. And it seems a little bit in conflict in terms of the NRL, in terms of growing community pathways and being a community club. Seems to be a little bit against what Andrew Abdo said when he was over here. But from your perspective as a Giant and as a wider fan of the game, the community element going down, banging and hanging, sir?
I'm on the fence with that one because I think it may need to change anyway. If the NRL bit takes over, but in short, I would say hanging a little bit, but I think it's only because changes need to be made when the takeover happens.
Fair play, wonderful stuff. Right, back over we go to Mr. Sale, Greg. That's Greg. Mr. Sale, Greg's not here. What was I Greg for? I'll tell you. I'm getting excited. Bulls to Vegas, Steph. So, I mean, the Bradford Bulls want to go and put a spectacle on next year in Vegas. Banging and hanging, mate.
Hanging for me. I think you've got to earn your stripes to play in Vegas, and also I think they could take a really good crowd with them. I really do, but it seems a bit more run before you can walk for me, that one. But if they do it and they put on a show, brilliant. But I think it's slightly hanging for me, that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of rumours, all FC Saints. I'd like to see the Leopards and Saints. I think that in terms of crowd, saying that FC will take a shed load, won't they? FC Saints from a crowd perspective, it's just the on-field. FC would have to significantly sign well, because what we can ill afford. I mean, look, the 2 blowouts we've had the last 2 years, Warrington, Wigan, KR, Leeds. I think there's big lessons there in terms of the media side of it. I think we've seen a pattern there, Warrington and KR potentially. We want the game to be as competitive. We know the fans are going to deliver. We know that, but we want to see a competitive game as well. So I do think that if it is going to be FC and Saints, FC's recruitment to give us that is going to be very, very important. Joel, 1895 Cup, no sponsor, no Wembley, and no IMG points for the winner. Is the 1895?
Has to be, yeah. If you can't get sponsorship and you can't get anything that helps, promote it and make it better, then yeah, that's not a good sign. That's a bit of a red flag.
So it's hanging for the 1895. Yeah. I have to agree. It's been put in full reverse as the 1895. Is what I would say on that. Steph, the NRL rules will be the rules adopted for the World Cup, which means 2-point field goals are going to be there. There's going to be 6 bench players allowed for the international squads, and of course, it's going to be their bunker.
Yeah,
banging or hanging, sir.
Banging. They get the rules miles better than we do. So yeah, I really do like the players on the bench. I think that's really, you can have more players, same interchanges, but more players on the bench so you can cover. I think because of the diversity between positions in rugby league, I'm just having a half on the bench for if it just makes games more competitive if you are to go down with one. So, banging for me.
Splendid. There you go. That's why we do it here at Super League Raw. Boom, boom, boom. Let me hear you say wheel, wheel. There you go. That's what it's all about. That's what we do. We get through the news stories very, very quickly here, which gives us time to just do something a little bit different. You know what? My brain, it just goes off in places. You know that. It plays about a bit. And you know what? I don't know if you sense this, but I've been sensing this season a real shift. I believe that there was a real shift. Because it appeared that more tries were being scored on the right wing. Because traditionally, we've gone left. Most clubs will favour the left. Just listen to these names. Lewis Martin, Matty Ashton, Liam Marshall. You know, we start going down it, Tom Johnstone. You know, go through who plays on the left-hand side and think, yeah, they do score a lot of tries, those boys. Because for whatever reason in rugby league, we tend to go right to left a lot. That's the edge that many go to. But I thought, you know what? It's interesting. I think more tries are being scored on the right. I really do. Now, I've only done this for the current top 6. So, Steph, from a Lee perspective, Charlie's doing well on the right. Quite a few tries are coming down the right-hand side of Lee this year. He's pretty even Stevens, off the top of my head. I haven't looked, but he's probably close. Probably very, very close on both edges, I would say, in terms of there. So, but this is how it's fascinating. This is how the top 6 currently look. You only get this on Super League Raw. You only get stuff like this on Super League Raw. Here we go. Here's the top 6. And it's really interesting. Here it comes. So the Leeds Rhinos have scored 20 on the left and 12 on the right. So they're still favouring that left edge. Saints, actually, very, very close. 9 on the left, 11 on the right. Warrington, 18 on the left, 22 on the right, which is a massive swing. They have often favoured Matty Ashton's win. But yeah, 18 on the left, 22 on the right. Look at KR. Very left bias, 27-10. KR's left edge. Also, which is really, really interesting. The Warriors, their right edge, 17, as opposed to 11 on the left. Marshall's over Eckersley's, which is interesting. And then, of course, they can see Wakefield Trinity at the bottom, 13 on the left, 21 on the right, which is interesting. So I don't know what to make of it. I just thought, you know what? It does feel like more tries are being scored on the right edge. And they are. There's no doubt about it. These are centres, second rowers, and wingers that are factored in on this. Joel, your thoughts on that? I mean, it's great in terms of, for those clubs that have got almost a 50-50, that's difficult for opposing sides. I mean, it's crystal clear that, like I say, certainly from a KR perspective, that left edge still seems to be their favourite go-to. The right edge at the moment for Wakefield, but those that are pretty condensed in the middle, they're going to be very difficult to set up against, aren't they? Because you don't know which way they're going to go.
They are, and I'm going to just since you've been talking there, Dave, I've just thought of something. And I don't know if this has anything to do with it or not. But have you noticed those who have favoured the right have got all English coaches?
Interesting.
So Brad Arthur, more on the left. Paul Rowley, right. Sam Burgess, right. Willie Peters, left. Matt Pete, right. And then Darryl Powell, right. I wonder if that's got anything to do with it.
Well, I think for me, well, before I give you my take, Steph, your take.
Yeah, you do tend to see it's always easier to attack left because that's the way they can pass stronger. I'm not saying they can't pass right, of course they can, but that's normally the predominant way that halves will go. But it also depends on where your strike players are, because obviously for Leeds they are going to be, you've got that's Ryan Hall versus Mika Sivo, so they are going to try and get Sivo the ball more, aren't they? But then you'd say with KR, Budgie's on the left, isn't he? So they're going to try and get him the ball more than Davis. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. I hadn't picked up on it that there's more teams going to the right this year. So interesting start.
Yeah, I just found it really, really fascinating. I think what's certainly coming into play here. I mean, I think Ewan Irwin coming in at Warrington in the games that he's played, and he's been on the right hand side. Sneed now's playing on the left, and of course, opposite it was George Williams and Irwin. So I think that Mark Sneed was out for a couple of games. So I think Ewan Irwin's had a big impact as well in terms of the setup play on the right of Warrington. I would say that, but it is something to keep an eye on because pretty much if you look for the last I don't know how many seasons now, most top try scorers have been on the left hand side. And what we're seeing this year, certainly in those cases, we're seeing more going to the right, which is something to just keep an eye on. I just thought, do you know what? I don't know what made me think of it today. I thought, do you know what? I just got a chain of thought. It made me interested, so I thought I'd go and look. And there you go. There you go. You don't get that anywhere else. A little bit of detail. Interesting time. So yeah, start counting them up, folks. Right tries, left. Certainly if you're doing your try scoring bets, don't discount the right edge players. Don't discount them. They're doing a great job. Outstanding. Right, let's start doing this. It's Challenge Cup semi-final weekend. We are now at the business end of the Challenge Cup, and what a game to start it all off. 2:30 p.m. this Saturday. The Saints going up against the Warriors. The derby comes to the Challenge Cup. It really, really couldn't be any better. Boys, this takes very, very little selling. Let's be crystal on that. Before we get into some detail and some stats with regards to this, Joel, this is one not to be missed, isn't it?
I think this is. They always say this is the kind of game where they say it's for the ages. It's one of the biggest rivalries I think that's been going for Super League's history. So it's always been a huge game, massive crowds, and it's always spicy on the field. Are we going to bring back some of the biff? It tends to happen on these games.
Well, very much so. Could easily be. I mean, look, from your perspective, Steph, you'd still want to be in it, of course, but they don't come much bigger than this. This is going to be proper tasty, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think just because of how well Saints are playing at the moment, and Wigan on a bit of the the losing streak that they had been on, this is a massive game for both sides, isn't it? Saints would love to get back to Wembley. When was the last time they were there?
2004. Was it against 2004?
No, it's got to be sooner than that.
When was the last time they won it? That's a good question. I know they won it. It was 2004. They beat Wigan, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they've been there since.
Oh no, they played us. Of course they did. They got beat. Yeah. They got beat against Warrington, didn't they?
Yeah, it's been a while since
2017, 2018, something like
that. Yeah, something like that. It's been a while since they've been there. So who'd bet against them at the moment? The way that they're playing, and like I said, Wigan not quite in the straps, but I'm right in saying that they'll get Smith back for this one.
Smith and Walters, they're coming back.
So that's massive for Wigan in terms of stability and kick play and all that kind of thing, structure. So yeah, it's going to be an absolute belter. They always are, aren't they? They don't need. I don't even think they need Paul Rowley and Matt Peake for this. They'll get up for it on their own, and the fans will be very vociferous as always, wanted to get one over on the old enemy. So yeah, it should be an absolute cracker.
Before we get into the next bit, Dawn Baker in the chat is posing the question. So hello, Dawn. As a member, we'll go there. What's the panel's view on Marsden and Farriman in the halves? I thought it was the perfect game because it was Bradford. If I'll be honest with you, I think it could have been put under far more scrutiny had they been up against the top six side, is what I would say. I think it's a glimpse perhaps into the future. But for me, probably too early to tell. Your thoughts on that combination, Joe?
Yeah, I think you've probably got two young players, and I think in your half position you don't want to necessarily have two young players together unless they are experienced. And I know you've got to play the games to get the experience, but for a club like Wigan, you've got to blood them in slowly. You can't just make risky plays and put them out there because Wigan can't afford to do that right now. But you're right. It's a glimpse into the future, and it's great for the Wigan faithful to see what that could be or could look like.
Couldn't agree with you more. Right, in the interest of time, I'm going to bring Steph in on the next one. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube and you're in the comments bit, swipe left, get hype in the show. You know it makes sense. Help us to grow the channel. Right, Steph, there's a lot of detail here. A lot of detail. I don't apologise for it. But before we get into that, Wigan have 21 Challenge Cups to their names, Saints 13. They faced each other 22 times, Wigan, in this competition. Is that right? Sorry, they faced each other 22 times. Wigan said, don't know where that's wrong. That's wrong. Wigan have, no, that's wins. Yeah. Don't know. That's wrong. Wigan have won the last 3 out of 5. That's right. But Saints beat Wigan, and of course, in that 2004 final, 32-16. The last meeting was 2022. In the semi-final, of course, Wigan went on to beat Huddersfield in the final, of course, that year, but it was a cracking game, 18-20. It was a cracking game. So lots of history between these two clubs. But there's a lot of interest. We always like to get into some detail.
Let's get into that much detail. He goes.
Yeah, we're going to get into some detail. This is that detail. This is their seasons side by side, and it tells you guys we're in for a belter. So for the purposes of those listening, I'm going to go through this. Tries, absolutely the same, 73 apiece. Goals, 63 for Saints at a 66% conversion rate. Wigan, 58-69. Couldn't be closer. Bust, 395 for the Saints, 329 for the Warriors. Offloads, 87 for the Saints, 115 for the Warriors. So more expansive, the Warriors thus far this year. Breaks, 50 for Saints, 57 for the Warriors. 40-20s 1-0 in favour of the Saints. Dummy runs, look at the difference there. We're going to get into the bit of detail in terms of the two hookers in a minute. But dummy runs, 139 for Saints, 57 for the Wigan Warriors. So no doubt that is a big threat area for the Saints in terms of the new rule interpretations. Tackle efficiency couldn't be closer. 91% Saints, 90% the Warriors. Errors, only 10 in it. 104 for Saints, 114 for the Warriors. Penalties conceded, 60 for Saints, 71 for the Warriors. They're averaging almost exactly the same meters made in a game. 12.79 for Saints, 12.81 for the Warriors. The average for this season for Saints is 25. For the Warriors, it's 27. Average against 20 for the Saints, 18 for the Warriors. So the Warriors are slightly better attack and a slightly better defense in terms of averages per game. So when you look at stats like that, Steph, we're in for a treat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think more so for me, the revival of Saints this year. I think under Paul Rowley, they look a bit more of a team than they have done for a while. And obviously they'll be full of confidence after that comeback win against the Warriors earlier in the season. On neutral venue as well. So the Halliwell Jones, this one, isn't it? So
it is, yeah.
Nice and close for both sets of fans as well for this one. So the atmosphere should be off the Richter scale, with both teams with a massive point to prove in this one and get to Wembley. So it should be an absolute cracker. I think it's going to be a very, very close game as well. With Harry Smith coming back, that's the big win for Wigan. And then Walters as well. So it's going to be too tough to call this one, I think.
Well, in the chat, the poll is up and running. Who wins semi-final number one? If you're on YouTube, get onto the chat. Get your votes in there. At the moment, it's a 64% going the way of St Helens. Will that change between now and when we finish this little whip through the semi-finals? Joel, is there any particular stat in there that's catching your eye?
I've got to be honest. I'm surprised that Wigan's stats are as close to Saints as they are. The conversion rates. I'm quite surprised they're I don't know if that you would class them as low, but I would have thought they may have been a little bit higher for both squads, to be honest with you. But the penalty count as well, I think that's going to be interesting because that is going to play a massive part in this game. Whoever concedes the most penalties is, I think, going to probably, lose the game because in a semi, you've got to be as perfect as you can. But I think both of them having such good tackle efficiency is going to be for a very tight game. It's going to be squeaky bum time for both of them. But it's very surprising to see just how well balanced they are.
Well, let's raise a glass to Craig's birthday, says Volstagg. Of course, Volstagg very interested in this conversation with it being Saints. Couldn't agree more. Thanks for the super chat, Volstagg. Very, very kind of you, sir. We hope you're enjoying your Tuesday night entertainment with our good selves. Kev Worrell, that is disgraceful. The only, look at this here from Kev Worrell. It's a shocker. The only chance Saints have of winning at the HJ, that is unbelievable. That is, hey, you'd have thought that Warrington are on a good winning streak against the Saints. Unbelievable stuff there from Kev. Shocking. But actually, the thing is though here, Steph, remember you, of course, playing at the HJ in semi-final rugby league. It does lend itself as a great semi-final venue, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. Yeah, I think it's a really good ground for atmosphere. I think the terracing along the sidelines really contributes to that at Warrington. It's always a vociferous crowd there, and then when you get the old enemies meeting each other with a place at Wembley on the line. I remember the atmosphere in the Lee Saints semi-final was unbelievable. So I think it's going to go up even more of a level in this one, with it being Wigan Saints. So yeah, it should be, as a neutral, very engaging.
Gary Wycombe's not happy. Any KR players drafted in by Saints this week, says Gary, a Wigan fan. No, mate, they rested him last week. They rested their own last week, mate. You're getting the full hit. And again, I don't know if that sits with me, if I'm being honest. If Darrell Clarke wasn't injured, and there's nothing to say he was injured, if Darrell Clarke was rested for that, that's where that one went. I know there's nothing wrong with it. It's in the rules, but it doesn't sit, does it?
Well, it's not as bad, to be fair. It's not as bad as resting your whole team and putting the academy out before the grand final.
No, absolutely. No, I completely agree with that as well. Yeah, two wrongs don't make it right. Correct, Mr. Sale. Right, let's get into this, because rumour has it this man could be back. Bevan French, will he return? And I'll tell you now, this is going to make a lot of people fall off the chairs, because this was painstaking to go through today. So since Bevan French has been at Wigan, I've had to go through all of those seasons to get this spot on for you. He's played 142 times for Wigan. He scored 120 tries. He's been in 4 semi-finals. He's won 2 in the Challenge Cup. But these are the big stats. Wigan's win percentage with French, 79%. Wigan's win percentage without French, a measly 56%. Gentlemen, that's how big he is to the Wigan Warriors. Now, the big question is going to be, A, is he back? B, is he fit? But if he is back and he is fit and he's been geared up, primed, ready for this game, this is a big, big bonus for the Wigan Warriors, Joe.
It's huge. It's absolutely massive. The issue I'd only have with it is that, if he is ready and primed, then great for Wigan. But if he's not, what is a unfit Bevan French as opposed to a fit Bevan French? Is the experience and the stardom that he brings worth risking him? And if he is fully fit, is he going to be match ready, because he's not played for quite a bit of time? So I think that anybody who has half a brain cell would know that you'd want Bevan French in your squad. And I think that's staggering, in fact, to say that most of your wins come off the back of having Bevan French in your side. That's quite dangerous, in fact, because what happens when Bevan French hangs his boots up or he goes to another club? We're going to have to get somebody in place for him or change things completely, because to a 56% win ratio, I think most people will be salivating at that, thinking I've got a chance here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. There's people in the chat, is it a bluff, etc. The rumours are circulating. We're addressing them. Will he return? I'd be very surprised. Steph, would you be surprised?
Yeah, given the injury and what was reported, I think he's still got 7 or 8 weeks left of the initial timescale. So, I mean, stranger things have happened in rugby league. It'd be a bit like Lazarus rising from the thingy, wouldn't it? But I can't see it. I don't think we're going to risk him to come back so early. And then if he gets a season ender, then that potentially is Wigan's whole season gone.
Well, hence those stats at the bottom. I mean, that's how critical it is. To get Bevan French back at the business end of the Super League season could be the difference between grand finals, winning grand finals, etc. So, like I say, it might be a week too, or quite a few weeks too soon. 2 players that we do expect to play though are these 2, and as it said there, match winners. Tristan Saylor in incredible form, was shortlisted today. Jaifield wasn't, of course. Jay's been out, but Tristan Saylor was in the 10-man shortlist, which is interesting. But Tristan Saylor is in phenomenal form for Saints. For the purpose of the podcast, I'll go through the tail of the tape. 10 appearances for Saylor, 4 tries, 6 assists, 40 balls, 7 breaks, 221 carries. He made 1,818 metres. Field has been equally good. He's only played 7 because of that injury that kept him out, but 7 tries, 4 assists, 40 busts, exactly the same as Saylor, 9 breaks, 143 carries for 1,109 metres. Joel, there's no doubt, it says it there, match winners, fullbacks, pivotal roles in any game. If either of these 2 have a wild of a game, it could be the difference between winning and losing.
It could, and this is probably the matchup, isn't it? This is the one that the 2 players in the squad that you're going to look for to keep you settled. especially when it comes to your fullback. It's your lost line of defence. And since Sailor's come over to Super League, we've never doubted his ability or skill. But it's finally good this season to see him finding a place in his squad, and he's got that place. I think he's a real weapon, and he's one of the big reasons as to why Saints play so well. Having your spine settled and having a good spine at that speaks volumes. And these two are incredibly good players for different reasons, but they're both electric, and that makes for a very good game. It's something that we love to watch is quick players, and they're both very skillful. So to see that matchup is going to be excellent. The fact the amount of meters that they both make, though Sailors are quite a lot more. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how they go, and it's the tale of the fullbacks. It could be the difference of who wins the game or who loses.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's people in the chat saying, I think Craig Ford said he thought Sailor had scored more than 4 this season, but no, he's 4 in Super League thus far this year. A few people commenting, Steph, on the field on the French one. If he come back and he went down injured, it would draw into question Pete's future. But that's an interesting comment. But yeah, I mean, look, what I would say about Field, Steph, coming into this, obviously they're the stats there, but what I would say about Field is I thought he has been getting progressively. He looks like he's getting progressively fitter week by week. But I noticed against Bradford, when he takes a hit in and around that area, he is getting up quite gingerly. Now, completely and utterly fair. We would never on this show want anybody to do anything to purposely injure players. That's not it. But of course, the problem with where his injury is where you get tackled. So it's one of those. He's going to get a few knocks. And if you're St Helens, you're probably going to want to test that out a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, well, he's always going to be after coming back from surgery in that area. I think a lot of it is mental as well. When it's like you hear players with the ACLs and they've been given the all clear, they sprinted on the training field, but they're still wearing knee braces. And I think that's a lot of that's psychological because they are 100% fit. So, it's, but how good has he been? And I know that first week he came back, he didn't look quite the player we'd seen earlier in the season, but I think he's getting back to that level now. And what a player he is. Sale has been absolutely phenomenal as well this season, playing in his right position at fullback. He's been great. Shown why Saints brought him over, and it can take some players that long to settle into Super League and really find the straps. But I think that's been helped with how well Saints are playing as a team as well. That Sale has improved, in conjunction with the way Saints are playing.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Now, you mentioned earlier on, Steph, that Harry Smith is back, and this is for me a key battle. It's game control. It's there. It's on the screen. Game control. 2 players for me. I was amazed Jackson Hastings wasn't in the shortlist of 10, I have to say. Really surprised by that. I think he'll feel pretty aggrieved. I think Hastings has been very, very good. 10 appearances, 1 try, 15 assists, 75 attacking kicks, 139 kicks in general play, carried the ball 155 times for 767 metres. He's all over it. We'll come back to that in a minute. As for Harry Smith, 7 appearances, 3 tries, 5 assists, 51 attacking kicks, 98 in general play. There's none better, let's be fair, in terms of his in-game management. 67 carries for 246. We'll start with Hastings, Joel. Jackson Hastings, for me, like I say, very unlucky not to be on the 10-man shortlist for the early runs and into the Man of Steel. I think the impact he has had in an under-strength Saints team, I think he's gone right under the radar in how pivotal he's been.
Yeah, he has, and he leads on every single stat there apart from tries, but you can understand why, because everything else he's doing, he's putting the kicks into people, and he's the playmaker. He's not the one that has to be on the receiving end of the tries, and he's another reason. Once again, it's your spine players that have such a pivotal impact on how your team performs on the day, and he's one of the best of it at the moment. He's absolutely fantastic, and I think they've got a real gem in having in Jackson back in Super League.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's been absolutely exemplary. Steph, we've waxed lyrical about Harry Smith for years here on Super League Raw in terms of when he's on, he's irreplaceable to the Wigan Warriors, absolutely irreplaceable. And salary cap pressures, could come into play there. I would say that of all the players they can ill afford to lose, for me, it's Harry Smith. I know Farriman is behind him, and at some point they've got to give him his head, but I think Smith, for me, it's a massive gamble to lose Harry Smith.
Yeah, well, we've seen that in the 3 weeks that he's missed. It's not that he's not a Bevan French type player, but he's the game controller. Everything goes through him, and it's more the position on the field. He puts those kicks in, and then Wigan are so good at moving up line speed to really pin teams into a corner and make them do the hard work to get out, which again causes fatigue in those teams attacking. There's a reason why he's the England 7. He's such a good controller of the game. And like I said, Wigan have not looked anywhere near. And I know they've got French out as well, but this guy's the main reason for me why they've not been consistent over these last few weeks.
Yeah, no, it's a fascinating tussle, this one. It really is. And then, of course, again, I make no apologies. I think both packs are really well positioned in this one. I really do. I think the packs are really, really closely tied. I think, the centres are going to be very interesting. I think Nenny McDonald's return, thought he was impeccable last week. That's really a big one. If it, in terms of Saints, in terms of course, Nenny and Robertson going up against Wardle and Kieran, that's going to be interesting. But of course, the other big one, and I mentioned it earlier on, is this one between Darrell Clarke and Brad O'Neill. And I put their polar opposites because the games are very, very different. Daz Clarke, 8 appearances this year, 4 tries, 1 assist, 22 busts, 271 tackles, great indeed, 50 dummy runs. He really is playing so well off the back of the new rule interpretation. He's made 597 metres. We know that Brad O'Neill is a little bit different in his style of play. 10 appearances, 2 tries, 1 assist, 5 busts, 396 tackles, doing more tackles than Darrell, even when you adjust it for the games played. Doesn't run as much from dummy half, tends to keep it simple, tends to be more that defensive steel, which is really important, made 269 metres. It really is, for me, no matter which way you prefer your hookers, Joel, you're getting the best of both worlds here. If you like them tough and gritty and defensive, then Brad O'Neill. Darrell Clarke, better on the front foot, an all-round hooker, really, Clarke. He's in that mode where he can do a bit of everything, and he's still got that blistering pace out of dummy half when he spots a gap. I think Darrell Clarke is massive in this game for Saints. Would you agree?
Absolutely, and Daz is the kind of player that suits Saints to the ground because the kind of players that they've got within there and their ethos is, playing, very expansive and trying things on when you wouldn't necessarily normally do so. And Daz Clarke, he kind of really complements that quite well. I was just saying at the weekend, our game, I'd love to have Daz Clarke in my team because he's just one of them hookers that he's exciting to watch. But then again, Brad is very defensively minded. He's extremely tough for a 9. And he's very underrated, I think, by a lot of people. And they are, once again, polar opposites of 9s. And it's what you want. You don't want the 2 same style players because it can be quite boring. But when you've got different players going against each other, I think it's great. But, you look at the meters that Clarke makes, I think he's quite incredible. He must be absolutely wrecked by end of game. I couldn't imagine having to do all the work that he does and put them kind of meters in.
It's going to be a fascinating battle. I mean, look, we saw in that opening slide where we compared both of the seasons side by side how close these two teams are head to head. There's quality duels right across the park. It's going to be fascinating to see. We're going to learn a lot about Saints, where our Saints are. They've been incredible. But this is Wigan, and all the adversity of Wigan and all the doomsdayers in terms of the run that they've had in the league and all the rest of it. It'd be just like Wigan to pop up and surprise it. Nothing's a given. Paul Rowley and Saints, of course, they wouldn't say anything less. It's going to be one hell of a game, right, boys? I'm going to put you on the spot, Steph. Which way is it going, and by how many?
Wigan by 6.
You're going the Wigan to silence the critics. Interesting, Joel.
I was actually thinking Saints by 12, just purely down to injuries, I think.
Saints by 12 because of Wigan's injuries?
Yeah.
Interesting. I think this is a close one. It really is. I'm as a neutral and genuinely hoping for no more than 6 points either way. I want it to be a lovely. I love a golden point. I really would. I just think because Saints have the momentum, it could get them over the line. They've got momentum. I know that Wigan got a win last week against the Bradford Bulls, but it was the Bradford Bulls. This is, again, a real test. It wouldn't surprise me if Wigan were to do it. It wouldn't by any stretch. But I just think momentum in sport is massive. And I just think at the moment there appears to be a good feel-good factor there at Saints. And I think it could get them over the line. I'm going to end the poll now. 67% of those who have bothered to vote have said Saints. They fancy Saints to pick up the win, which is really interesting indeed. Happy birthday to Steve Rudge as well. I noticed in the chat Steve Rudge has got in there at buying beers. Good lad, Steve. Nice one, mate. Happy birthday to Craig, Steph, and to myself, he says. Very good indeed. Well done to Steve Rudge. Outstanding stuff. Right, the last thing that I have to say for you wonderful Wigan and you wonderful Saints fans out there is why not come and join me this Saturday? Yes, a very special Super League Raw Live at the Bluebell in Warrington. Pre-game event from 12 p.m. Saints and Wigan fans both welcome. Chat, prizes, and Super League Raw live in the house. So if you get into Warrington early this Saturday for the Saints against the Warriors, why not come to the Bluebell? Keep your eyes peeled on our social media for all the details that you need, car parks, where the Bluebell is, etc. Come down, enjoy the fun. It'd be lovely to have you. Let's make it a really good pre-game event. Like I say, some beers up for grabs. It'll be great to have you down there. So there you go. I think that was a pretty good preview for Saints. I think Rugby League gentlemen should be the winner. Let's get the little man out. Here he comes.
What Would Oliver Say is proudly sponsored by South Coast Lane Carpets. From shag pile to vinyl, nylon to wool, you are guaranteed to find the right fit for your home. Contact them today and tell them Oliver sent you. This is What Would Oliver Say at Super League Raw. Today, I'm going to talk about who are the best halfback pairing in the Super League. John Wilkins said that the best pair is Tyrone May and Mikey Lewis. Another expert, Jody Cunningham, said that Bevan French and Harry Smith are the best. I agree that all of these players are amazing. They are very talented and also very exciting to watch. But on this occasion, I have gone with Dave and Reggie's Wire, choosing Mark Sneyd and George Williams. I chose them because they're both good at different things. Sneyd's very good at the kicking side of things, and George Williams is very good at building up the attack, causing danger by running at the line. Not only this, but they are both really strong in defence. For me, this makes them the strongest partnership in the Super League. What do you think, Super League Raw?
So there you go. What would Oliver say? And there you go. He's gone half-back partnerships. Who would you give it to, Steph? In the interest of time, let's try and keep it brief. But who would you give the best current half-back partnership to and why?
Oh, well, based on the season, it's got to be Croft and Connor, hasn't it? You know, Bodie Croft scoring tries for fun. Connor kicking goals for fun. Their points tally between them must be more than any of the other halfbacks combined, I'd imagine.
Joel?
Yeah, I agree with Steph completely. I don't think anyone touches them other than maybe May and Lewis. But yeah, I think Croft and Connor are the two outstanding ones. Yeah,
I think it's very close in it between those two. I think the KR2 and the Leeds 2. I think they are head and shoulders the top bar, and I think they're both in their own way playing well. I think in terms of actual assists and tries, I do think May and Lewis have them. Connor's not got as many tries and assists as when you actually look at it. I'm pretty confident when I say that. I think actual final impetus of the play they've got him, but we know how much. We say this all along, doesn't it? How many does Connor produce that where he doesn't get the assist or he doesn't get the try. So it's not an exact science that, but in terms of assists and tries, I do think the KR pair have got him. For me, it's too close to call. One thing's for certain, when they're both on the field of play, we get a treat. There's no doubt. But great stuff, Ollie. I think you're being very generous, I have to say, to Mark Sneed and George Williams. Hey, fair play to you, sir. Fair play to you. That's who you like. That's who you like. Who am I to disagree with you, mate? Right. We're not a million miles away, are we? It's very, very close. This time next week, we will be announcing who is the lucky recipient of 2 Club Wembley tickets with Super League Raw to the Challenge Cup final. Next week, we will be doing this draw. If you've not entered yet, why haven't you entered yet? Go to the website, www.superleagueraw.com. Go to the shop. You can enter this competition. I think it's £2. Is it £2.50 a ticket? Or you can, I can't remember. Anyway, it's on there. If you go over there, it's you can get, I know it's 4 for a tenner. It's 5 for a tenner. 5 for a tenner it is. You can get involved. Of course, if you're a member, I will be asking the members who can and who can't go. So please do keep your eye on the WhatsApp group for those who have currently got no plans of going to Club Wembley, but would come to Club Wembley if they were going for nothing. That poll will be going into the poll in the next week. Let me know. I don't want, of course, because these are non-transferable. So only members, can win these. So please do put in there. And of course, those people who enter the competition via the website, all proceeds will, of course, go to Grassroots Rugby League. So don't forget, there's the QR code, or just go to the website. Nige Bennett has only just managed to get to the bar. It's busy tonight, Nige. It is busy tonight, my friend, but it's great that you've took the pilgrimage to the bar. All the very best to you, Nige. We hope you're well after what has been a very disappointing couple of weeks for your beloved Castleford Tigers. Right, we're going to do something now a little bit different, just a little bit different, a little bit of fun. Here we go. Oh, Kikoki, oh, Kikoki, oh, Kikoki, Giants players in or out. Oh, yes, it's time to get the skulls. Playing a bit of Okie Kokie. Come on, Joel boy. Get in there. Get in the spirit. Here we go. So, Joel, after what was, let's be fair, an absolute calamity of a performance by your beloved Giants against the Wire, especially in that first half, mate, I thought we'd have a bit of fun tonight and we'd do a bit of Okie Kokie with you, mate. Before we get into the game of Okie Kokie, and I just want an in or out. We'll just have a bit of fun. We won't labour the point, but let's have a little bit of fun with it. Before we do, Tuilolahea. I mean, we spoke about it, but for the purposes of the podcast, let's go there. Tuilolahea, right? In fact, we'll wait until you do your in and out on him, and then we'll go for Tui. And then I'll have a bit of sport for you on Tuilolahea. So let's do it then. The Huddersfield Giants, in or out, starting with Niall Evans, in or out for 2020.
In.
Adam Swift.
In.
Jacob Gagai.
In.
Tane Milne.
In.
That was a close one. Sam Halsall.
In.
Tuilolahea.
Oh, I hate it because I love Tui, but out.
Absolutely, couldn't agree with you more. Now, let's be absolutely crystal here. Let's be crystal, right? He goes in for a try, which he doesn't, right? And I'm just going to say for the purpose of the podcast, this is why I'm with you on this, right? You're getting battered by Warrington. He goes in for what he thinks is a try, and he comes out smiling as if he's just won the game for Huddersfield, which for me, from a mindset perspective, really makes me worry. And then it comes to pass, he dropped it when he had no right to drop a ball like that. So for me, let's just address it. How bad was that?
So I obviously I was at the game. I didn't see it as well as people saw it on at home. I couldn't actually tell if he had dropped it, but I assume from what it looked like he did lose it. But the issue I've got with Tui at the moment is that he does some very good things in very short bursts, but then it's always followed by a lot of mistakes. Yeah. And whether you like somebody or not, liking someone doesn't win games, and we need to win games. And in such a pivotal position as number 6, yes, your number 6 tends to be the more expansive player who tries things out, and that's fine. But he's, this year especially, has been creating a lot of issues, dropping balls that he shouldn't normally drop. And the likes of that, celebrating a try when you've got no reason to celebrate. It's It's one of them ones where a team's behind, they score the try, they get up straight away, run the ball back, ready for the kick, and they're trying to save as much time as they can. There's no time for celebration when you're not playing so well, and the attitude that you get. And I'm not just talking about Tui here. I'm talking about there's a lot of players in that squad just don't have the right attitude at the moment, and whether that means because of the new coach that's pending coming in, that to me should mean that you'd raise your attitude, because the new coach, whoever he is, if it is Daniel Holsworth, he's going to be watching very, very closely, and if you're not careful, he'll be out the door.
That's with Steve McNamara at the MKM. Ouch.
Yeah.
But yeah, by all accounts, you're Big G next year. That's what they're saying in the chat. You're applying to be Big G. I'm hearing.
So Big G is a friend of mine. He actually watches the show. He might be watching tonight.
Good evening, Big G.
He has been an incredible servant, and I say to him all the time, he is a legend of the Huddersfield Giants, and that isn't that isn't a word I take lightly. He genuinely is a legend at Huddersfield. Is Graham. I hope he doesn't mind me saying his actual name.
But how are you taking over, Joe? That's what we want to know.
I would love to put my hat in the straw. I would, what would be cool is, and if he's watching, Graham, just a little thought for you here. Okay, I'm going to just mention it. If you did one more year, could we have Big G and Baby G, and I will be Baby G, just for one more year? Let's put it out there.
Outstanding stuff, yeah. And hey, you could do the okey cokey as your little gimmick. Happy days. Rebecca Frey in the chat. Anyone go with the game, stay safe, enjoy it. Well done, Rebecca. Outstanding stuff. Hope to see you on Saturday. Me and you might have a coffee on Saturday, Rebecca, I think. If you're up for it, I will be in Warrington. Right, there you go. Oh, Ollie, what would Oliver say? Has just joined. He's been training. He said Williams today because Croft and Connor have a solid fullback to rely on. Well, there you go. Hey, I'm not arguing with you, big fella. I'm not arguing with you, big fella. You know your rugby league, son. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Right, back to the hokey cokey. Adam Clune, in or out?
Out.
Tristan Powell?
In.
Agreed. Zach Wolford?
In.
Oh, yes. Tom Burgess?
Out.
Asher O'Donnell?
Oh, in. All day long.
All day. Sam Hewitt?
Okay, I'll be as quick as I can here, Dave. I'd like to say in because I love Sam Hewitt, but he gets injured far too easily. And for that, he is a very good player in his day. And for that reason, I'd have him in. But would I have him as a starting 12? No, because of the injuries.
Fair play. Harry Rushton, in out?
Oh, in.
Fenton Rogers?
Oh, Fenny's probably one of the best players we've got in the squad. I know people don't look at forwards too much, but Fenny is one of the best props I've seen at Huddersfield for a long time. The attitude, the aggression, everything about him is just fantastic. So in all day.
Matty English?
Okay, so I like Matty very much. Matty is also somebody who gets injured quite easily and quite a lot, whether it's through any fault of his own or not. You know, it doesn't matter how good of a player you are.
Come on, Jones, in and out. We haven't got time. Come on.
In.
Ooh, I think that's loyalty. George King.
In.
Yeah, Joe Greenwood.
In.
Yeah, Kieran Rush.
Kieran in, especially after watching at the weekend. He played really well.
Liam Sutcliffe.
Out.
Yeah, no surprises there.
I forgot that he played for us, to be honest with you.
Well, he's not much. He's 5 appearances, 6 appearances.
Yeah.
Conor Lynch.
Oh, in. Yeah, 100%.
That's mate. Matiu Koza.
Out.
Oh, interesting. I won't even embarrass you by asking about Flanagan. That's an absolute no-brainer. Jack Billington.
Not seen enough of him. I think he's too small. Out.
Oh, cutting.
Yeah.
Matty English got away with one there. Chris Patello.
In. I like Chris. Yeah, good player.
Connor Carr.
Connor Carr, he's a very promising player. Definitely in.
Tanguy Zennon.
Oh, 100% in. Yeah, he's been good.
Just leave it there. So there's a few that you wielding the axe on. And whilst people come to terms with that, it's time for Team of the Week. The Super League Raw Team of the Week is proudly sponsored by the Pentagon Motor Group. Visit their website today to find the make and model that you desire at the right price.
It's the Super League Raw Team of the Week for round number 10. Here we go again. At 1 is Ollie Ashelbot, who once more provided a lean peak with the confidence and attacking leadership to make the FC fans shed more tears than the late, great Deirdre Barlow. Ooh, Ken. At 2 is Tom Davis of the Robins. His hit rate and accuracy would ensure that Luke Skywalker himself would elect him as his wingman every time he had a Death Star to destroy. At 3 is the returning Nene McDonald. He runs a furlong like a thoroughbred. No bra strap could contain his bust, and his tri-potency is as fresh and devastating as lemon and lime shower gel. At 4 is the man who provides the ingredients to prepare a banquet for SIBO, Ash Handley. Gordon Ramsay move over, as Handley is a 5-star Michelin centre in Super League. At 5 is the man with as many tries in 2026 as holes in your crumpets. Against quality opposition, SIBO spread the game like butter to provide the Rhinos with another 2 points. At 6, do you smell what Adam Cook is cooking? Adam Cook laid the smackdown on Catalan's Dragons with a devastating 40-20 that pulled the Leopards off the canvas and just brought 2 points to those travelling Beat-A-Roarers. At 7 is the man of steel, Jake Connor. Jake shows no signs of dipping in form. The only dipping that Jake does is dunking his biscuit fingers into his KP Chocky dip in celebration of his consistent performances. At 8 is the new contract man and Saints enforcer, Alex Walmsley. Just like Alex Guinness, the force is strong with Walmsley. He is Saints' energy field. He surrounds and binds his team, and he penetrates defences, bringing balance to their Super League challenge. At 9 is Brad O'Neill, who must be a fishing connoisseur, as this man knows good and effective tackles that deliver results every week. With every cast, he hooks defences with an efficiency of 100%. At 10 is the Leopards' Brick Wall Joe offering Gowie. By the end of the game, the Catalans forwards were the worst advertisement of here's one we prepared earlier. Oh yeah, they had soggy bottoms and they were unedible. At 11, back in his rightful position, and who would have thought it, Liam Favell was exceptional on both sides of the ball against the Bulls. Just imagine if he had got into that taxi out of Wigan last week like some fans suggested. At 12 is the man who cannot be shaken from our team of the week, Frankie Holton. This is his 4th pick of the season and 3 weeks in a row, as Darth Vader once said. Impressive. Most impressive. And finally, at 13, forget Cater, let's call him Joe Crater, as the lumps he took out of his former club left craters so deep that the FC will be having great trouble getting out of them anytime soon. A performance of quality! Ladies and gentlemen, this is your team of the week for round number 10.
So there you go, the team of the week for round number 10. Do you know what? I was on the fence with Irwin and Cook. I have to say, it was a close one. It was a close one. Irwin's try-saver changed the game. So a lovely assist. But Cook is 40-20, 15 to go. I couldn't look past it. I'm sorry, Irwin. It was a close one, but I've got to be impartial. But it was that close. Steph, you must be delighted that Cook's in a team of the week.
Yeah, and I think for me, the 40-20 was exceptional, but I loved his break for Josh Chandler's first try. Really, really, really good. And, you know, Adrian Lamb said it takes 10 rounds for these players coming over to start hitting the strides, and it looks like he got that absolutely spot on with Cook. He was brilliant, and you could see the players were made up for him as well, which was great to see. But yeah, really, really good performance. Ollie Ashall-Bolt, absolutely outstanding again for Toulouse, as was Joe Cater. Probably one that people don't really notice. I think he's former Hull FC player as well, isn't he, Joe Cater?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he went back and destroyed him, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was absolutely brilliant in this game.
For me, he was man of the match, mate.
Yes.
Over Ashall-Bolt, he was man of the match.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I've already mentioned Ash Hanley, how well he's playing this year. Brilliant for Leeds. And great to see Nenny McDonald back in the team as well. Saints fans will be, you know, they're having a great season, and they'll be even more buoyed by his return.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree with you more. Joel, the other one that was a real difficult one, Noah Hodgkinson at Wigan, very, very close to being in. But you look at Davies, you look at Hodgkinson in terms of the personnel they were playing against, Castleford, Bradford, etc. But I just thought Davies' backfield work was a little bit stronger. They both scored the tries, but I just felt Davies' all-round game was just a little bit better, and that's why he got him.
He's a very settled player, and he's so good. He doesn't seem to lose composure. No matter whether it's a game they're expected to win or a game that's going to be tight, Davis is just a player that you can depend on, and he knows where the try line is, and that's great. It's like seeing Joe Cater in there. It's nice to see Joe Cater getting in against his old club. It's good to see the old rivalries, seeing you look what you could have won kind of thing.
Superb.
Yeah, and he deserves very much so to be in the squad.
And going back to players who were given the man of the match, who perhaps shouldn't have been given the man of the match. And I know the emotion around Cook, but for me, offering Gowie, mate, Steph, he was different level. It was beast mode. He was my man of the match.
Yeah, considering he's pretty much, not to disrespect any of the other league players, but they are obviously Robbie Mulhern short, which is the other starting prop. Owen Trout did a good job for Lee and scored that crucial try, I think, but that was more genius from Edwin Ipape than anything else. He just had to fall over the line. But no, he's such a big personality at Lee. He's a leader, and he certainly led from the front in this game. He was absolutely outstanding. As he's a solid 8 out of 10 every week, Joffa, and more times than not a 9 out of 10.
Liam Farrell, another team of the week. Liam. Put him back in the second row, what do you know? Put him back in second row, what do you know? Should have got a taxi last week with Farriman and Pete, by all accounts. But anyway, that's by the by. That's not us saying that. That's not us saying that. Just go on to the socials of Wigan. Nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. But Carla Collier, Joffa is different gravy. M&S gravy is what Carla's saying. Not just any old gravy. M&S gravy. Hey, she knows expensive gravy when she sees it, does our Carla. You know what I mean? Good to see that she likes her gravy. Good northern lass, loves her gravy. Beautiful stuff. Something tells me if he actually poured it on himself. No, we won't go there. We won't go there. Carla's fella might be watching. Dear me, I could get myself into trouble. Anyway, this is on its way, of course, in July. It is, of course, Magic Weekend. We are going here at Super League Raw to Magic Weekend, and we would love you to join us again. Another competition here at Super League Raw. Your opportunity to join us at Village Street at Magic Weekend, the whole weekend. These are fantastic tickets. Best seats in the house, right on halfway, padded seats, a superb concourse with proper bars, proper pubs. It's going to be a great occasion. Come and join us. This draw will take place in June. We'll be doing the draw for the Challenge Cup next week, and we'll be doing this one in June. But yes, you could be joining Super League Raw at Magic Weekend. All the details you need are at the shop at superleagueraw.com. You can do the QR code as well. Enter that competition today. You could be the lucky winner, right? We've got a second semi-final to get through, and of course, it's this one, the Warrington Wolves taking on Hull KR in what is sure to be another brilliant game, of course. Played each other last season in the final. Will Warrington get retribution? Who knows? But, of course, they met 14 times, have these teams in the Challenge Cup, and have both got a final apiece to their name. 1905, Warrington beat KR 6-0. And, of course, last year, 8-6, two very tight finals. KR are on a 5-game winning streak over the Warrington Wolves. I'll say that again. KR have got a 5-game winning streak over the Warrington Wolves, and an average score of 19 points to 10. Now, let's just get the elephant right out the room right straight away. Joel, this is the quadruple Hull KR. On a 5-game winning streak against the Warrington Wolves. In your opinion, who's favourite going into this game?
I think Wire.
Oh, behave yourself, Dave. So if you were running the bookies, you'd have the Wire as favourite going into this game. If you were running the bookies, if you had to put your house on it, you would go Wire.
Yeah, why not?
Ridiculous, Steph.
Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Because, mate, right, they're on a 5-game winning streak. They're scoring tries for fun. They're a quadruple winning team. They've got a 5-game winning streak over us. Hey, KR going to whether who you think's going to win. I'm saying as a bucket, who you're putting down as favourite.
Oh well, that's a bit different.
Well, that's what I've just asked you. If you're a bucket, who are you putting down as favourite?
The bookies are going to put KR, of course they are. But the thing is, a 5-game winning streak doesn't mean anything right now because this season you're completely different. So I'm not 100% wrong in what I'm saying because Wire this year are extremely dangerous, and anyone that tries betting them against them is stupid. So you can't say that one is a clear winner than over the other because it isn't. Wire are absolutely brilliant this season.
I agree.
So you can't say they're that far off.
No, they're not far off. I'm just saying this nonsense that from a bookie's perspective, Warrington going to the game is fair. I just think that's a nonsense.
I don't think either are favourites.
Mate, they're a quadruple winning team. They've been there.
But that's a different season. Wire are far better this season than they have been for a long time.
Beat Brisbane this year.
Yeah, but yes, that's one game. Wire are a far better team than they have been over the previous years.
Not disagreeing with that. Steph, who would you, if you were putting your house on this, if you were running the bookies and you wanted to earn yourself some money, who would you have as favourite?
KR all day. I think you've got to factor in Warrington going to Catalan and losing.
Yeah.
They've shown a bit of inconsistency.
Lost to Leeds.
Yeah. But the way KR are playing at the moment, I think George Williams missing is massive for Warrington, more so defensively than anything else. Ewan Irwin's been great, but George Williams is a key part of that Warrington side.
Yeah.
And I think just from the attacking threats that KR have got and the form they're in at the moment, they've got to be clear favourites for me.
Good evening, Dom. The final the tackle talk, sorry. Outstanding stuff. Great fair. KR going to this as underdogs. Behave yourself, quadruple winning KR underdogs. Behave. Shocking. If ever that was, let's just tee this up and be humble so we can brag at full time. Unbelievable. Anyway, let's go. Let's get into the tail of the tape. Here it is. And it is very, very close. Very, very close. For the purposes of the podcast, I'm going to give you the tail of the tape. Tries, 72 for the Wire, 84 for the Robins. Goals, 69 for the Wire at a 65% conversion rate, 76 for KR with 62% conversion rate. Busts, absolutely even Stevens, 286 apiece. Offload, 69 for the Wire. They really have reined this back. They have been playing a more steady away rugby league, Warrington, this year. 80 offloads for KR. Clean breaks, 61 for Wire, 53 for KR, 140-20 for the Wire. Dummy runs, 82. This is interesting, isn't it? 2 really good. We'll get into the detail of the Yuckers in a minute, but 82 dummy runs for Wire, 93 for Hull KR. Tackle efficiency, 93% Warrington, 89% KR. Errors, 62 Warrington, which is unbelievable. They really are doing well in terms of their error count. 99 for KR, 51 penalties to 52, again in Warrington's favour. Again, look at the meters. Couldn't be closer. Warrington, 1,339. KR, 1,358. Average 4 for the Wire, 34. Average against 16. Average 4 for KR, 32. Average against 15. Just like we were saying, Joel, for the Wigan game, you look at that graphic, what a match this could be.
There's some very key stats in there. It backs up everything I've just said. There's a lot of... because... No, I don't want what I say to make it sound like I'm being stupid. I've got a very good, valid point here. You look at the tackle efficiency, 93% in a game like this wins the game. Okay? Great. And then, you look at the tackle bust, there's nothing in that. Offloads, okay, offloads can get you a try or two. But thereabouts, that is a very evenly matched stats. And, no one will ever tell me that KR are the favourites by a mile. They're not.
No.
It's rubbish.
I didn't say that. I
said I didn't say you did. I'm saying for those, I watch the chats and I'm reading everything that people say. I've not been wrong when I said about Leeds being near the top. I wasn't wrong about saying Bradford was better than Cass. Nope. Just listen to what I'm telling you, everyone. Okay? So, Wire this season have got as much chance as anyone to win it. And I think they've got to win it because, you need to get that badge off your back of it's Warrington's year this year. It becomes a massive joke. And when you look at them stats, they've got everything in the arsenal to beat them. And it would be nice to see the name on the trophy, I think.
Well, the new poll is up and running. Who wins semi-final 2, Warrington or KR? Steph, I mean, before I put the Wigan one up, you probably wouldn't have. You just couldn't have anticipated how close it was on paper. Same with this. I mean, if this was a boxing, if this was a heavyweight boxing match and the stats were that close, I mean, the ticket price would be through the roof. It'd be through the roof because it should be another classic, shouldn't it? Can you believe how close it is?
Yes, I can, because I think Warrington, as Joel said, have been exceptional at points this season. I think they have, you know, they were poor against Catalan in that second half. They were poor against Huddersfield in that second half, and that's the only reason that's concerning me a little bit. KR have been fantastic for the last 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks if you count the York game as well. But you've also got to remember who they've played in those last few weeks. It's Toulouse, Bradford, and Castleford.
Yeah, valid point.
Well, yes, KR have been outstanding, but you'd expect the treble. Doing them a disservice. The quadruple winners to be outstanding against those team who've been, you know, quite average at points this season. Well, you could then say Toulouse did a great job on Hull FC, but again, the ones prior to that was Hull FC, who KR beat. So, you know, the last big side really that are doing really well this season that KR beat was St Helens back in March when they absolutely hammered them at home. So that's the only concern I have for KR, is that they're going up against a much stronger opposition than they've been playing over the past 4 weeks. I think more on this is, do Warrington come to the party and play to their potential? And that's where the George William thing just concerns me a little bit, where I probably have KR as slight favourites and the confidence that's brought KR. But if Warrington come with everything they've got, then it's going to be an absolute cracker.
I mean, I think the caveat to the Williams thing is, I think what Warrington desperately need in this game is for Mark Sneyd to have another game like he did at Wembley last year. Because Mark Sneyd at Wembley last year, and I went on the Robin pod with Baz and the guy who runs the rowing pod the day before the final, and I said, and I pretty much called the final. I called it pretty much spot on. That, you know, Warrington had a chance if Sneyd picked up the Lance Todd, and he did. You know, it was that close, and I think again they're so dependent on that. Sneyd has to marshal Warrington around the pitch really well. Every other duel on there is it's just so close. I mean, again, it's like the Wigan game. You look at it and you're thinking, wow, where's the inch coming in? And it's going to come down probably again to moments, clutch plays, and again the defensive elements of both sides are going to be critical. And you look at it there. KR averaging 1 point less in conceded than Warrington. It just couldn't be closer. And I think it's going to be a cracking game of rugby league. Let's get into a bit of detail. We'll start with these two. And of course, we expect Fewless to come back. There's a lot of talk again today. Will he, won't it? I'd be very surprised if Josh Fewless wasn't in at fullback. But again, the word is it might not be as straightforward as that. It could be that Warrington have got a decision to make at fullback, which is interesting. I think most Warrington fans will be hoping and praying that Josh Fewless gets on that field of play. 8 appearances this year for Warrington, 7 tries, 5 assists, 33 tackle busts, 9 breaks, 96 carries, 794 metres. Before we come on to Jack Broadbent, Steph, Josh Fewless was actually mentioned in the Man of Steel discussion today by, I think it was Paul Sculthorpe, who said, what a season this lad is having. They need Fewless in this game, Warrington, don't they?
Yeah, he's been brilliant this season, filling in, you know, in the fullback position, but also doing a great job. But he's been on the wings as well. He's a big part in everything Warrington's done right this year. So he's a huge player for Wire. And again, this if he is a doubt, then that does, you know, even more so. If he's not playing, I think that's a big swing in KR's favour.
Absolutely. And then, Joel, we come to Jack Broadbent. We're massive fans of Jack Broadbent. We were the only team, he was in our team of the year last year. And for those who didn't watch Super League Raw last year and are new to the show, yes, Jack Broadbent got into our team of the year last year because his consistency was absolutely through the roof. Incredible player, Jack Broadbent. Now, there's, again, a lot of rumour that Arthur Morg is close to maybe starting. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Before I do, let's just go through his stats for the podcast. 9 appearances for Broadbent, 2 tries, 2 assists, 29 busts, 4 breaks, 158 metres, 1,432. We just said how well Josh Fulis is playing. I mean, I'll say that again. 1,432 metres. He really does put his positional play at fullback is superb. He puts them on the front foot. He really does burn up the metres in that early phase of play for KR. I got a lot of stick, actually, early in the season by some quarters of the Robins fans, which we all found a bit odd, but has yet again proved his worth. If you were Willie Peters, based on Broadbent's form, I don't see why you would bring Morg back in a semi-final when Broadbent's playing the way he is. I don't get why you'd do that. Would you expect him to do it?
No, I think it would be quite absurd if he did. Even if he was fully fit, he's not match ready. You know, to be match fit, you've got to have a couple of games under your belt where you've played the game, because you can train as much as you want, but unless you've been in an actual game and things, everything's on the line. Anything can happen. You can re-injure yourself or hurt yourself. But Jack Stock has grown incredibly over the past few years. He's a wonderful player, is Jack, and as you say, we very much like him. I'm sure that Leeds wish they'd kind of maybe kept on to him for a few more years. But he's done wonderfully at KR, and he's a great player. And if Morg isn't in, the fact that you've got Jack Broadbent, who's maybe we wouldn't say just as good, but he is certainly up there amongst very good second-rate fullbacks in there for him. I think he's a quality player, and his confidence is sky high.
Mate, I think we'd all say this. I think there's very few people who know the rugby league. I think there's very few people that would not want Jack Broadbent in their squad because of the versatility he brings. He can play anywhere across the 3 quarters. Very, very competent right across the board. At a push, he could probably do a job in the halves as well. A very, very accomplished ball player. Love Jack Broadbent, and that's the beauty of doing the show. This is why we've got the notoriety that we've had over the years, because we talk about players like Jack Broadbent the way that other people talk about Jack Wellsbys and Bevan Frenchies. He deserves that level of respect, and we give it him every single time. And that's why I put underestimated fullbacks there, Steph, because for me personally, we all know that there are rose-tinted supporters out there. Some of them watch our show. Some of them a bit, we know through having done this show over the years, where they just can't see past their own side. And those are the same supporters that when you start talking about Josh Fulis, Jack Broadbent as credible players to go to the World Cup, not saying they will, but they're credible players to go to the World Cup. Those people who are not into the detail and can't see past their own teams would laugh at it. But you'd agree with me. Both of these 2 players on their day are very assured and as good as anything.
Well, I think when you throw into the mix in terms of a World Cup conversation that you can have 6 on the bench, a versatile player such as Broadbent or Thulis would go down a treat in that situation. So these 2 on screen will definitely have ambitions and credible ambitions to be in that World Cup squad.
Yeah, well, happy days. And but like I say, outstanding stuff. Really good contest. I think both of those 2 players, hopefully Fulis is on the pitch, because we want the best players on the pitch. We want a really good contest this weekend. But both of those absolutely worth keeping an eye on. Now, this is big. We're all blown away by Ewan Irwin. We're all blown away by him. But semi-final rugby league is a new level for Ewan Irwin. Let's be crystal clear on that. In any player's development, there are stages. And as I put there, how good are you, kid? This is a big, big game for Ewan Irwin. He may absolutely, for me, I can see it going only 2 ways. He has an absolute storm and could walk away with the man of the match, or it's too big. I don't know which one it's going to be. But the kid has got a lot of quality. Joel, you saw that first hand. I'll bring you in on Ewan. 4 appearances this season, 5 assists, 4 busts, 11 attacking kicks, 34 carries, 159, just creating so much bedlam on that right edge. You saw him at close quarters. He's got a great temperament. You heard him on Sky after the game, interviewed really, really well. But like I say, Joel, this is a new level for Ewan. How do you think he'll get on?
Well, yeah, so it's interesting you say that, because one thing I noticed more than anything, of course, his skill set is very, very good. He's an excellent rugby league player, but So are everyone who plays Super League. The biggest thing I thought about Ewan that I was very impressed by was his composure.
Yeah.
He managed to, when the pressure came on a little bit for him, he kept his composure, and you could see he was looking around the field for gaps. He was looking for where there was areas where he could create something. And his communication amongst the players was good as well. He wasn't scared to shout up and call whatever he was calling. And I think for a young player to be able to have the confidence to do that among some very senior players says a lot about the person. And it's a good thing he's not coming into a final straight away. At least he's getting a chance of a semis. It's a massive, massive game up against a very, huge club who are extremely successful. And this is going to be his real test to see how he fares in against a big club who's doing extremely well, but also on an extremely big occasion, because he could really influence whether they are going to make it into the final or not. And I really hope the very, very best for his future. And I very much will be watching this like a hawk.
I mean, there's a lot of comments there in the chat, Steph, and people are pointing out the Wigan game that was a big test for him, and he stood up brilliantly against December, as we saw on the comments there a few moments ago. Big thank you there to Kev Langman, I think it was, who put that quote up there. At the moment, Ewan is passing tests every week, but this is semi-final rugby league. There's no second chances. Your thoughts on Ewan going into this game?
I think he'll do really well. I think he's shown in big games already that he can stand up. I think he's probably got a few mistakes in him, but just because pressure that comes naturally, and I think it all depends on the game itself and how that goes. But one thing's for certain: the man on the other side there, Mikey Lewis, is going to have a big say in how he does as well. So it's a big job for a young lad, but he is capable. And I don't even think, even if Warrington lose this game, what it does do is give this guy experience of semi-finals football, and that's huge, for his development. I think we all believe he's going to be a star of the future. When you've got, Andrew Johns picking you out with the talent that he's seen, that's more credible than anything we say on this podcast. But he could have an absolute blinder. He's more than capable of it, and he could guide Wire to a victory in this one. But I think we need to take the pressure off him, if I'm being honest, and not make it about him. And if he does do really well, it's a bit like Whitby last year at St Helens, isn't it? He was getting man of the match performances, and that's great to see for these young players. But let's hope for him that he does have a blinder of a game, and but even if he doesn't, he'll learn lessons and he'll come back.
And I think Warrington fans know he's the future, and I think that regardless of whether he's outstanding or it is too big for him, it won't really matter from a Warrington fan perspective, because I think everybody knows at Warrington that this kid is the future of Warrington Wolves in the halves. That said, he's coming up against a man who's been there, done it, man of steel. Another great season thus far for Mikey Lewis, in the shortlist again, in the 10. Didn't make the top 5, but he was in the 10. 9 appearances in Super League, 10 tries, 8 assists, 47 busts, 48 attacking kicks, 146 carries for 934 metres. Joel, Mikey, he's just doing it again. He was good. I mean, he was good last year. He ran Connor all the way. He ran him all the way, and he's there again, jumping at the bit. He's in great form. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, because they're both, and look, we're not putting you in anywhere near the bracket of Mikey, nowhere near. But, they are on the same field of play, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see, because I think they're both very different players, Joel. I think they're different players. I think Mikey's a runner. I think Ewan, he's coming across to me as a student of the game. He's coming across as somebody who picks his moments. Are you getting that same feeling?
I do, yeah, definitely. Like I said, he looked very calculated at the weekend. He was looking for gaps, and you could see that he was trying to read the game very well. Whereas Mikey, he can just play what's in front of him. But even though they are different players, Ewan can definitely look at Mikey and aspire to be of that hill, in the coming few years. And there's every chance that he could do that. But I think Steph's right. We've got to not put too much pressure on him because it's such a major time at such a young age. But to go up against Mikey, I think he's one of the worst matchups you could go against because he is so good at what he does.
Well, and then we've got the treat, and I put England's best. Yes, Darrell Clarke is in the top 5 in the Man of Steel, as too is Jez Litton, but they also give a lot of flowers to Danny Walker as well. I think this is a massive part of the field. I really do. And I think it's always got, I think we're in for a treat this year and probably for the next 3 or 4 years, providing Jez doesn't go down under, which is rumoured. I think if he stays in Super League, Jez Litton, we know Danny's already refused to go down under. Then Super League's the winner because these two going toe-to-toe year in, year out is going to be a breath of fresh air. Danny, 9 appearances this season, 6 assists, 11 busts, 2 breaks, 52 runs from dummy half, 580 metres. Jez Litton, 9 appearances also, 3 tries, 4 assists, 12 busts, 2 breaks, 55 dummy runs, 618 metres. Absolute quality, both players. Easily could be the man of the match, either of them. They're that good. Steph, Joel, you're both neutrals where this game goes. Steph, it's worth tuning in for this, isn't it?
Definitely. And I think both these teams tick off the 2 guys on screen. If you took those 2 out of the respective teams, the performance diminishes 100%.
Yeah.
We saw it last season, when Danny Walker came back, Warrington looked a different side. And I think Jez Litton's that important to the way KR play more than anything. He gets them going and he enables Tyrone May and Mikey Lewis to have the space. And he really speeds that play, the ball up as well. Without doubt, for me, these are the 2 best hookers in Super League at the moment.
I'd agree, and look, Daz Clark's got 5th, and they were talking about Danny Walker, and like I say, we'll do a special on Thursday in terms of that. There's a lot to unpack from that Man of Steel discussion. Great transparency, loved it, absolutely loved it, but there's lots to discuss with regards to what was discussed. But Daz Clark, for me, has got, there's one thing that differentiates Walker and Litton from Clark, even in Clark's heyday, and that is that both of these can kick a ball as well. Both of these have got a 40-20 in the locker, which, with the greatest respect, Daz hasn't. And I think that these, for me, are them. If there's a typical prototype, whatever you want to say, for a modern-day hooker in rugby league, you're looking at it. You're looking at it in these 2 faces. Incredible talents. We're blessed to have them playing in our competition, and we're blessed to be able to watch them on the same field this coming Sunday. Right, boys, I've looked at the clock. We've got to wrap this up. I hope people have enjoyed. You never know what you're going to get on Super League Raw Weekly. We've gone into detail tonight in terms of Leeds. We've gone into the detail in terms of the semi-finals. We've had a bit of fun with our Joel in terms of his okie-dokie. Outstanding stuff. But it's time to ask, just to let you know, the poll has now come to an end, and 71% see a Robins win in the poll. So there you go. Steph, who wins and by how many?
I'm going to go KR by 12.
Joel?
I'm going to go Wire by 4.
Wow. I think Warrington have improved dramatically year on year. We did see in the final last year how close it was. Very close it was. They nearly did it. So from a game plan perspective, it was pretty flawless from Warrington. You've then got the Steve McNamara piece that comes in as well, which I think has added to Warrington's preparations. And I think that's going to be interesting. That said, I can't get past the fact this is a quadruple winning side. They've not lost a trophy yet. This could be the first one that they lose. Who knows? But they haven't lost a trophy yet. And I think when you're dealing with a team that have been there, done it, and got the T-shirt, and I've got into the form that they currently, and I appreciate your point, Steph, in terms of who they played. I appreciate that. But I just can't look past KR. I think when we get to the back end of the season, if Warrington can continue the cycle, by the time the playoffs and the grand finals up for grabs, maybe then I might have seen enough to change my mind on that. But at this moment in time, we're going back to that Catalan defeat, and you've got to take into account when KR went to Catalan, the travel and all what they went through. Warrington didn't have that as an excuse. For me, I can't look past KR. So I'm going to go KR. And in the interest of hoping it's a great spectacle for the neutral, I'm going to say KR by 6. I'd keep it within a try. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. Wouldn't surprise me one way or the other. But I think, there's weekends that come in the Rugby League calendar where you should get excited. And this is one of those weekends. Whether you've got skin in the game or you've not, this is a blockbuster weekend of Rugby League in this hemisphere. It really, really is. It's unmissable. We've proven tonight how close these two games could be. And quite frankly, if we did this show again tomorrow, we might change our minds on our predictions. It's that close. It's unmissable Rugby League football. It's why we love this game. So, please, please, please make sure that you tune in at the weekend. Get all your mates on it. Make sure you share all the posts we put out there. Get more people watching this great game of Rugby League because it deserves to be watched by far more people than it is. Dare say, I think this programme does as well. So why not share this also? Because it's been a great night. Let's be fair, folks. You've had 2 hours of quality, in-depth analysis, stats, bit of fun. It's been a great evening. Apologies from Greg. He's putting family first tonight, and rightly so. But he should be back next week. But yeah, on behalf of us, don't forget, no captain's run this week, but we might be doing a little special on the Man of Steel thus far, the discussions and the fallout from that discussion. So do catch that. Me and Craig Lingard will be back for your Championship Rugby League tomorrow, 7 p.m. on YouTube. From Steph, from Joel, from me, enjoy semi-final Rugby League. We'll see you on the other side. Bye for now.